Hello guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Gift. In this video I'll be cutting and sewing this palazzo pants and this beautiful crop top. I'll be working directly on the fabric, so my fabric is folded in two, so I'll be cutting the front first. So the width of this fabric is my hip measurement divided by 4 plus 5 inches in allowance because I don't want it to be very wide, so you can increase the width if you want your pants to be wide. From the top of the fabric, I'll be marking my crotch length. So that is my hip measurements divided by 4 plus 2 inches in allowance. Because this is a free pant, I'll be adding 2 inches to it. So I'm going to roll a straight line across the dot I marked. I'll be marking 3 inches on this line as my crotch extension line. So I divided my hip measurement into 4. What I divided it into 4 again plus half an inch. That is how I got the 3 inches. So I'm going to connect the 3 inches to the top of the fabric on a straight line. Then from the center of that line, I'm going to go out by 1 inch and I'm going to connect it to the line and to the crotch extension line to make the line kind of curvy. On this side of the fabric I came out by 1 inch and I'm going to connect it down. So I want that side to be curvy because this is a female pant. So I came down by half an inch from the center of this line and I'm going to connect it to the other side of the fabric in a slanted way. Then I'm going to cut out the excess part. So because this is a free pant, I will not be adding any other measurement to the waist. I'm going to stick to how it is. So you can decide to take out the 1 inch and you can decide to leave it. So I'm going to place the two right sides on each other and I'm going to stitch this place by half an inch. I'll be using the front fabric to cut the back. So from the front crotch extension, I'm going to extend the back by 2 inches. The crotch extension for the back is 2 inches. Then I'm going to trace 2 inches on this part from the front fabric. Make sure you place your fabric properly on the back fabric. Ensure you add extra allowance to the back fabric so you'll be able to add this allowance. So I added 2 inches to the side and I'm going to connect it to the crotch extension line like this. So place your fabric properly. I'm still going to trace it again. I added 2 inches round, so I'm going to go up by 1 inch from the front fabric. So I extended the back fabric by 1 inch. So if you have a bigger butt, you can extend yours by 1.5 inch or 2 inches. So I'm going to extend that part in a slanted way to the actual waistline. So this side is going to be the same as the front, so I'm going to trace it the way the front is. Then I'm going to extend the crotch line down on a straight line also. So I'm going to be adding 2 inches to this part. So I'm just going to use my ruler to trace the 2 inches I already marked. Then I'm going to cut out the excess part from the back fabric. So with this we are done with the back of the pants. So I'm just cutting out the excess fabric. Then I'm going to separate the front from the back so you guys can see it well. So this is what I have for the back. So I'm going to join this side. I'm using my chalk to trace. So I'm going to join it by half an inch. So I'll be using this fabric for the top. It is folded into 2. On the top of the fabric, I'm going to roll a straight line which is going to serve as the shoulder line. So from the shoulder line, I'm going to check the length, which is 17 inches. That is plus my seam allowance. So from the center of the fabric, I just marked my shoulder measurement divided by 2, which is 8 inches. I came down by 1 inch from the 8 inches as my shoulder slope. Then from the shoulder slope, I marked my round arm measurement divided by 2, which gave me 8 inches. So I just marked the 8 inches and I'm going to slant the line towards the other side. For the neckline, I'm going to be taking the width of 3 inches. Then I'm going to be taking the depth of 3 inches for the front. So I want to use this fabric to cut both the front and the back. So I'm going to connect the neckline to the shoulder slope like this in a slanted way. Then from the shoulder measurement, I came down by a 1.5 inch for the neckline for the back, and I connected it to the width of the neckline. On this line, I'm going to mark my bust measurement divided by 4 plus 2 inches seam allowance. Then I'm going to divide my armhole line into 2 to get the midpoint. So whatever I have there, I'm going to go out by 1/2 inch from that midpoint. Then I'm going to connect it in a slanted way to the top of my fabric. Then I'm going to connect it to my bust measurement on this line. So I'm going to mark my waist measurement divided by 4 plus 2 inches seam allowance on this side of the fabric. Then I'm going to connect the waist measurements to the bust measurements like this. So forgive me guys, I thought my chalk was visible. I hope you guys understand the explanation. So I'm just going to cut the neckline for the back first. Then I'm going to place the fabric on the fabric I'll be using to cut the back. The only thing I'm going to add is the zipper allowance to the back fabric. So I added 2 inches zipper allowance and I extended my neckline to that point. So make sure you fold your fabric properly on the other fabric you want to use. Then I'm going to follow the shape and cut out everything. Then I'm going to notch the zipper allowance so I'll know where it is. Then I'm going to remove the front fabric from the back. So I'm going to straighten my fabric first because I just noticed it's not straight. So I'm going to cut out the excess parts from it. Then I'm going to be adjusting my zipper allowance like this. So I'm going to go out by 1/2 inch from this point. Then I'm going to connect it to the top of the fabric in a slanted way. Then I'm going to cut that part out. So I'm doing this in order to avoid any form of zipper bulge at the top, at the back of my top. So I'm just going to cut this part out like this. So with this we are done with the back. So I'll be using this fabric to cut the lining piece that I'll be using to turn it. So I'm going to cut the lining for both the front and the back using the fabric to cut exactly how the main fabric is. So this is what the lining piece is looking like. So I'll place the right side of the lining on the right side of my main fabric. Then I'm going to be stitching the neckline, the side and the down and the hem line rather. For the back also, I'm going to place the right side of the lining piece on the right side of the fabric. Then I'm going to stitch the neckline, the zipper allowance area, the side and the hem line. I'm going to do the same thing for the other side. Then I'm going to turn it over to the right side and iron it. So I'll be using this fabric to cut my sleeves. It's folded into 4. I'll be basically using freehand to cut these sleeves, no much measurement. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to come down by 5 inches from the top of the fabric. Then I'm going to connect it in a slanted way like this to the top of the fabric on the other side. So I'm basically using my freehand. I'm not using much measurement. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to take my tape around the chalk and see what I have. So what I have there is 10 inches. When I open it up, it's going to round my arm also. That's fair. So I'm going to stick to that. So yeah, I marked my round arm measurement plus 1.5 inches seam allowance. Then I'm going to cut out the excess parts of the fabric I don't need. After cutting the excess fabric, I'm going to notch the center of the sleeves. Then I'm going to cut out a lining piece just the way the fabric is in order to turn the face to the right side. I'll be using scrap fabric for the pockets because my fabric is not remaining much. So the fabric is folded into four. I'm going to place my palm on it. I'm going to scatter it open like this. Then I'm going to follow the shape of my palm like this to trace the pocket. Then I'm going to cut out the excess part of the fabric. So I'm using my scrap fabric, is not remaining that much, so the length of my pocket is short. So I think I use 6 inches, so you can increase yours to 7 or 8 inches. So this is how I'll be attaching the pocket. I'm going to come down by 1 inch from the side of the fabric. Then I'm going to notch that part. Then I'm going to place the right side of the fabric. I'm going to place the right side of the pocket fabric on the right side of the pants fabric. Then I'm going to do the same thing for the other side. So I'll place the right side of the pocket fabric on the right side of the pants fabric like this. I hope you guys understand what I'm saying. And I'm going to stitch it to the fabric on a straight line. I'm going to do the same thing for the other side. So I have 4 pieces of the pocket, so I'm going to place the other 2 on the back fabric. So I'm going to join the side of the fabric. I'm going to join from the waist. Then I'm going to follow the shape of the pockets like this around. Then I'm going to sew it back into the pants fabric like this. I hope you guys understand what I'm saying. So I'm just going to follow the shape of the pocket so it's back into the fabric. I'm going to do the same thing for the other side. So I'll place them on each other properly. Then I'm going to join. Then for this side also, I'll place the 2 centers together like this. Then I'll sew from one center to the end and from the other center to the end so that it will be accurate. I'm done turning the top fabric with the lining piece, and this is what I have. Now I'll be joining the shoulders together. So I'll place the 2 right sides of the fabric on each other. Then I'm going to open it up like this. I'm going to be joining it like this rather in order to hide the seams inside. So I'm going to place the 2 lining on each other and the 2 fabric on each other, and I'm going to sew it on a straight stitch. I hope you guys understand. After joining that, I'm going to close up the zipper allowance. So I'm done closing both sides of the pants. Now I want to cut the band. I'm going to measure the waist round to get the width of the fabric I'll be using for my band. So ensure you measure your waist accurately. Whatever you have will be the width of the band. So this is the fabric I'll be using for the band. So I went ahead to iron half an inch on both sides. I ironed it in like this. I hope you guys can see it. So that is the same allowance, the half an inch. So what I have for the length of the band is 2.5 inches on fold, which is too long. I later went on to reduce the length, so you can make the length 2 inches. The length of your band the length of the band should depends on the length of the elastic band you are going to use. So I'm going to join these 2 together like this because it's open. Make sure you add extra 1 inch or 1.5 inch to the length of your band. So I'm going to sew it to this point. I'm going to stitch it, then leave a space and continue the stitching. I hope you guys understand. So I'm going to leave an opening there. So I'm done joining the shoulder of the top, and this is what I have. So in order to join the sleeves, I'm going to trim the excess lining from I'm going to trim the excess lining from the armhole first, but I'm going to fold my sleeves into two equal parts and I'm going to notch it. Then I'm going to cut out this excess fabric. Then I'm going to place the center. I'm going to place the center of the sleeve on the shoulder of the top rather. Then I'm going to sew from the center to this end and from the center to the other end. I'm going to do the same thing for the other sleeves. So after joining the sleeves, I'm going to close up the sides of the two sides of the top with my body measurements. Then I'm going to add my zipper to the back. So this is the band. So this is the opening I left there. So my rope. So I'll be able to pass the rope. The rope I'll be using for the waist through it. So after joining that part, I went ahead to open up the band from the other side. I splitted the fabric into two again from the other side, so I'll be able to join it easily to my pants. So I'm going to bring the pants now. So I went ahead to open the back a little bit. So I'm going to place the center where the opening is. I'm going to place it like this on the wrong side of the fabric. So I'm supposed to join from the wrong side of the fabric. I'm just showing you guys like this. So you place the center on the wrong side of the fabric. So you're going to sew it round to the wrong side of the fabric like this. So I left this opening so that if there is any excess fabric on the band, I'll be able to cut it out before closing that part. So I'm going to sew this other side also from the center to those points also. So I'm done attaching the band to the pants, and this is what I have. You can see I attached it from the wrong side. So after attaching it like this, I'm going to turn it over. I'm going to turn the band over to the right side. So you can see I've ironed the seam allowance, the half-an-inch seam allowance down. So I'm going to properly arrange it like this. Then I'm going to stitch it round. Then I'm going to leave a small opening at the back or any side you want to leave the opening, so I'll be able to pass the elastic band I'll be using for the waist through the opening. I'll be using this big elastic band for the waist. So the length of this elastic band is 1.5 inches and the width I'll be using is 23 inches. So my waist circumference is 26 inches. I minus 2 inches from it, making it 23 inches. So the width of this band is 23 inches. So I'll be passing it through the opening I left earlier with the help of this safety pin. So I'm going to take it around the fabric like this. Then I'm going to take it out through the other side of the opening. Then I'm going to drag it out. After dragging it out, I'm going to stitch the two bands. After stitching the band together, I'm going to close that opening. So this is the rope we'll be passing through the waist. You can make it as long as you want to. So the main opening I left on the band earlier, I'm going to pass this rope through that opening. You know the opening is at the front of the pant, the center front of the pant. So I passed that rope through it, and this is what I have now. So you just make sure you adjust it well to how it's going to fit your waist. So you can go ahead and stitch the band round. You stitch the up part, then you stitch the down part of the band. So I'm not going to be stitching mine. You can leave it this way. You can stitch it round in order to secure the rope. So this is my top. I'm done adding my sleeves and closing up the two sides, and I added my zipper to the back, and this is what I have. So for the pants, I'm going to leave the waist like this. You can decide to sew yours round in order to secure the rope, but it's okay like this. So I went ahead to fold the legs of the pants, and this is what I have. Thank you guys for watching.